Hey everyone, welcome back to The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story by The Verdict's In. I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm Gary.
And today we are talking about, it's a mouthful, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, Episode 5.
Yep.
We're all caught up. This is this week's episode. We're very excited. We're taping right now. It's Friday night. If I can edit tonight, that's cool. If not, it'll come out tomorrow, Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, so we just finished watching for the second time. What did you think of the episode?
I thought another good episode. Pretty good.
I think it keeps getting better and better.
This was a good episode. I don't think it was better than last episode.
The fourth episode? Yeah, that was really good.
But this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that fourth episode is a little better. Well, the opening scene from this episode, when we originally watched it last night, and then we watched it again today, like, I almost was in tears from that opening scene.
Yeah, both times.
I mean, it was so sad to see something. And I guess what made it so moving is because you know that shit still happens.
Right.
Like, that was not a scene from 1995. That was, or whatever year that was supposed to be, like, in the 80s, I'm assuming. Because it was when his daughters were young.
Yeah, it was this.
I think it was probably like
80s.
the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s.
But it's
I
like,
think it was like 10 years before.
Okay.
Or it could have been longer.
Either way, let's say 1970s. It was like, it was not looking at 1970s. That shit is happening today in 2016. So I guess that's what made it more, I don't know.
It was an emotional scene.
It was an emotional scene, yes. All right, so let's go ahead and get into that scene then. The police officer, he pulls over Johnny Cochran. He immediately, Gary notices that he has his hand already on his gun.
Yeah.
Like, he's already planning, or he's already thinking that something bad could happen when he goes to the car.
I don't think he thinks something bad will happen. I think he's already looking for trouble. Okay. He has in his mind what he's going to do already.
And he's expecting that, okay, I'm going to do this, and he may react this way, and if he does, I'm going to be ready.
Or I want him to react this way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I can't judge police. I understand their job is very dangerous. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. When you go to a car every time, you don't know what that person in the car is going to do.
I don't know, because someone in the car with their kids, that's kind of different, because he was already at the back window, so he already seen inside the car.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the chances of someone acting crazy with kids in the car, I mean, it happens, but the chances of you pulling someone in a broad daylight public area and them doing something crazy is more or less likely to happen.
Really, that was not only wrong, that was wrong on so many levels. That was almost emasculating. To put him out the car, put handcuffs on him in front of his daughters.
In front of his daughters, in front of all those people. And he, like, slammed him up against the car. And it was all because he's like, oh, you're getting hostile with me. What do you expect? They're talking to a police officer. That's never supposed to be like, I'm not going to say when your police officer pulls you over, whether it's for a speeding ticket or you forgot to make a signal, you're not happy. So they should never really expect you to be like, hey, officer, da-da-da. Yeah, at the same time, yes, you got to be respectful. And I don't feel he was disrespectful. I felt he was saying, what were you doing pulling me over? He mentioned, this is the third time I've gotten pulled over in 1 week. I would have been cussing somebody out by that point. Like, are you serious? You're pulling me over? This is the third time? Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about this scene is when the daughter asked him, Daddy, did he use the N-word? And he said, no, he didn't have to. And he told his daughters that the N-word is a very dirty word and should never be used.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think when he said he didn't have to?
I mean, it was already implied.
Yeah.
He really didn't have to say anything.
His actions and everything else was worse than, or it was already pretty much showing what he thought of him.
Yeah.
And then just real quickly, I want to
add...
he
pulled him over and he said that you forgot to put on a signal 2 blocks back.
Right.
Like, really? Why are you pulling me over now?
Right. Real quick, I want to add is for the fact that he said, don't ever use the N-word. It's a very dirty word. And then the N-word later on gets brought up throughout the case.
Well, that wasn't the same N-word.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because he was saying it like the N-word, like a vulgar term. No, I'm not talking about what he said when he was talking to Darden.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about just the fact that Darden didn't want the N-word being used. Well, I guess he didn't want the N-word being used in the court case.
Right.
And he was still... We'll get to it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
All right, so Johnny Cochran, he knows how to make enemies fast, apparently, because we saw last episode him and Shapiro were not getting along. In this episode, it's him and Darden going head to head.
Yeah.
And he made a public statement, Johnny Cochran, and he said he fears that Darden, who's his friend, I love when the people say that, my dear friend, but he goes, my dear friend, I feel like he's being used as a tool by the DA's office due to the fact that he's black.
Which he was.
And we discussed that last week.
Yeah, we already established that. That's the reason they got him. They needed someone black on the case.
But Darden, I felt so bad for him this week. Looking at him, every time they talked bad about him in the press or hearing Johnny talk bad about him, he looked so hopeless and so helpless. Like he wanted to say something, which he tried to. Nothing was still going in his favor.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. All right, so we get Shapiro. These are just some cool scenes that we saw this week. I guess I'm starting to like John Travolta playing Shapiro. Only because that character is just like so immature and so over the top. It's funny.
Yeah.
Because he's mad and then the guy's like, who are you mad at? Johnny's like, no, Lee. He's talking about F. Lee Bailey.
Yeah. He's
like, he feels that Lee reported him to the news and put all those rumors about him not being fit for attorney and all that stuff.
Maybe you should have paid the guy.
Yeah, maybe you should have paid. You don't do that to someone that could hurt you. And I don't know. Do you think
that's like you work all week and then you get the little envelope, the check or whatever, or if it's direct deposit, you get in there as a statement that says pro bono.
Right.
Nobody's working for free.
No one's working for free. No, I definitely agree. But it was funny because he's like, I'm not going in there. And then like literally 5 seconds later, it was just like, how kids act.
Yeah.
It was like something a kid would do.
Called him Judas.
Yeah. And then he's like, what are you, Jesus then? Yeah. That was funny. And then, of course, Johnny's like, okay, I'm glad that's over. Now, let's get to work. Like, he's like, we don't have time for this. All right, so we learned that there are 62 instances of OJ either beating his wife, stalking his wife, harassing her. There's 62 instances.
Recorded.
Now, that may necessarily...
Not necessarily recorded, but reported.
Reported, yeah. And it may not necessarily be 62 times, of course, of him beating her. I doubt he beat her that many times. But 62 instances... And later on, they try to say, and me and you kind of have a disagreement on it, because I think you sound like you're more on OJ's people's side with this, with the defense of domestic violence does not equal murder.
Right.
Whereas I'm kind of on the prosecution side at this point, where 62 instances, how do you hear that and not say, okay, not use that in court? Like, this is a pattern of inappropriate behavior, of violent behavior.
Yeah, it's very inappropriate.
And it's violent.
Right.
And I still stand that domestic violence could equal and can lead to murder.
I mean, a lot of things can equal and lead to murder.
Oh, God.
A lot of things. But that doesn't mean that this right here, if you're involved in a domestic violence situation, that you're capable of murder.
I would say that it does. I mean, I'm not going to say every person that's committed domestic violence would also be willing to kill. But when you're punching somebody and beating somebody, especially someone that's not as strong as you, that's weaker than you, physically weaker than you, then yes, you know that what you're doing can kill them. And it doesn't. If you go too far, you could kill them.
But that doesn't equal a murderer.
But it's one punch away from being a murderer.
I mean,
he just got lucky that he hadn't murdered her during those times of domestic violence.
Accidents can happen in any shape or form.
I'm not talking about an accident.
It's like, let's say two people get in a fist fight. That could lead to murder.
Yes, exactly.
That doesn't make the person a murderer.
If the person dies, yes, then
yeah,
you
if the
are a
person
murderer
dies,
guy.
but I'm just saying that just because he got in a fist fight with somebody a week before, it don't mean he's capable of going out and stabbing somebody to death.
I mean, I don't know. In this case, when you hear 62 incidents, it's not like it was a one-time thing. I mean, you're constantly beating on your wife and hitting her. How do you know that next hit is not going to equal her death?
You don't. But that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with what you're saying about that anytime that they got into a domestic dispute that something could have happened seriously. She could have died or something. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm saying that just because you do one thing don't mean you're capable of doing another thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's that saying, you lie, you cheat, you steal.
Which is not true.
You don't think so?
No. I believe everybody lied before. I don't believe everybody's a thief.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. Depending on what you consider stealing. You know, what if someone steals a candy bar, is that not a thief?
Yeah, that's a thief. But I'm saying that everybody's a thief.
Okay. Okay.
If you stole a candy bar before, you're a thief.
Okay, now you're a thief because you stole a candy bar?
I mean, what is it called? It's you stole something.
Okay.
I'm saying that everybody who have lied about something
is a liar? So does that mean everyone in the world is a liar?
I believe so. I mean, people may not consider themselves a liar, like, oh, but if you kind of bent the truth a little bit or over-exaggerated something, that was a lie.
All right. I guess everyone's a liar.
We don't have to walk around calling you a liar.
Yeah, because everyone's a liar then. I'm pretty sure everyone has lied before.
But there's some people that lie more than others.
Yes, that's true.
And they get to tag liars.
Well, yeah, of course. If you lie,
I think it's a lie limit.
No, that's just right. Thank you for that. Because yes, if someone is consistently lying, okay, if one person tells one lie, okay, it's no big deal. They're not called a liar. But if you see that person lying, you're gonna be like, that person lies. Don't believe him. Same with domestic violence. That person hit her one time, okay, you know, he was drunk, whatever the case was. You keep hearing about him beat her, you know, he's like a damn near attempted murderer. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You went there.
Yeah, I did, but that's just my opinion. We want to hear from you guys. If you're listening, let us know if you think domestic violence is a serious, if someone does domestic violence over and over and over, can we assume that they're also capable of murder? Hit us up, host@theverdictsend.com, HOSTS@theverdictsend.com. I have a feeling it's going to be split like how the focus group was split from the blacks and whites. I have a feeling it's going to be split from the women and men. I think the women are going to side with me, but we'll see.
Maybe. There may be a lot of men that will side with you.
Maybe. We'll see. All right, so we get...
And again, nobody may not side with you.
Maybe. Maybe I'm like Marsha Clark. I just don't know. You know, I'm just lost. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm naive or whatever. All right, but we get Darden. I love this scene. He comes up to Johnny. He's like, yo, what you said about me, so unprofessional. He's like, I think we just need to kind of keep things respectful, and from here on, just be respectful with one another. And Johnny patted him on the back, grabbed his shoulder, and he was like, dude, I ain't here to be respectful. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of that?
I thought that was a cool scene.
And do you agree with Johnny Cochran or do you agree with Chris Darden?
I agree with both.
Okay. Because you can be respectful and still win.
I mean, being respectful and being mature, that's what I think he meant by that. Let's be mature about this.
Okay.
Let's just respect each other. We don't have to go to low blows in order to win. On Johnny's side, I'm winning at all costs.
Right.
I get paid to win.
So if I have to call you Uncle Tom, I have to call you this, oh well, because that's what I'm going to do to win.
Right.
Okay. All right, so one of the biggest scenes, and it was actually my favorite scene, at least when Johnny Cochran starts speaking, is they're in court. I think it's the preliminary, and Chris Darden, he's talking to the... First, I mean, when he talks, I was like, yeah, I agree with him. Maybe they shouldn't allow to use the N-word. When he's talking, he's telling the judge, the N-word is such a dirty word, it's a horrible word, and it will bring so much emotion out of African American people. I feel that it will be blinding to the jury. In some ways, I kind of agree with that. You're shaking your head.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't agree.
Okay.
I mean, the N-word never affected me. It never. So there's some people who could look past that. You know a racist when you see a racist.
Right. You don't have to say the N-word to know that you're a racist. No,
I'm saying that if you get into an altercation, you already know what's going to come out their mouth next.
Okay.
You already know what they're capable of saying. Even people that I don't think is racist, of another race. Mm-hmm. You always know they're capable of saying that. Saying that word. And it goes both ways. The black person may not be prejudiced, but, in the argument, they're capable. So I'm pretty sure nothing shock anybody right now. And I don't think that word will blind. Well, I'm pretty sure, like you said, if it'll blind you, I'm pretty sure there's some people that it will. That word has never had an effect on me.
No, I wasn't going to say it would have blinded me. I said I could see how. I try not to get too much into my emotions when something occurs. However, I could see if you're up there and you're hearing a police officer, because in this case I'm assuming they're talking about Mark Foreman, and you find out he said the N-word, and then he's also the one that found that found the glove, your mind could start wondering, like, maybe, you could I could see people start wondering, does that mean it'll affect every single African American? No. It will affect the jury? No.
I'm pretty sure the LAPD did a good enough job by themselves around that time period.
Right.
Without any help.
Well, that's pretty much almost what Johnny Cochran says. I mean, I loved this speech. I think this speech alone, when they turn over their paperwork or whatever they do to put something in for an Emmy, they should give this speech, this whole scene right here. Johnny Cochran says, that word is offensive. I'm offended by what you're saying. Because you're pretty much saying that African Americans cannot handle the word, that we're just so unemotionally stable that if we hear that word, we'll just go crazy. We can't contain ourselves. And he says, we hear offensive and see offensive stuff every single day. Hearing that word is not going to be all of a sudden new to us.
Right.
And it just brings back to that opening scene when his daughter said, did he say the N-word? Like, no, because he didn't have to. But yet the cop was still offensive. And then Johnny Cochran whispers something to Chris Darden.
Yeah.
And do we really think that happened?
Well, it happened on the show.
It happened on the show.
Like I said, the show is for entertaining.
I was like, Gary, did I hear that correctly? I could not believe my ears.
In reality, I don't think that anybody can say that in the courtroom and just get away with it. Just walk off.
Well, could anyone... Did only Chris Darden hear him, or do you think the other prosecutors heard too? Like, the prosecutors that were there?
According to the show.
According to the show, it looked like they could have heard as well.
Yeah, everybody could have heard.
Okay. They are taking some artistic liberties here, because when he said, I was like, did I hear correctly?
Yeah.
That was crazy. And that's when we get people calling Darden and Uncle Tom and everything like that. And I just felt bad for him.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. That was uncalled for.
Now, on the prosecution side, we see Bill. He has a heart attack in court. And the reason why he has a heart attack is because he's so upset due to the fact that they're now bringing in new names of witnesses.
I think it plays a bigger role than that. I think if he got that upset, and not really that upset, but I think he's probably scared anyway, real nervous about the case.
Okay.
Because he took that a little overboard.
I know. I was like, dang. See, because even Marsha Clark, she was looking at him like, okay, like, drink some water, calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
But I think his nerves got the best of him from the beginning.
Okay. Well, with him getting that heart attack, Chris Darden is promoted to second chair. But before we...
See? That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, that promotion. He got that promotion. But before we get into that, what do you think about Johnny Cochran making his associate, pretty much like he said, fall on his own sword, like take the fall for what, it wasn't even his fault what happened as far as the witnesses not being turned over?
I think it was very smart what he did. I mean, you always want to put doubt in the jury's head, no matter if it's truth or facts or not. So he did what he had to do. He wanted to say that, to put doubt in their head, like, hold up, they're not mentioning people. But it was dishonest. Like I said, it's smart. He let the lower person on the team take the fall for it. Because he could have let, part of the dream team take the fall for it, which it was one of their fault. Mm-hmm. But he was like, okay, if something happened or you get disciplined and you may have to step back, then you just take one for the team.
Right. All right, so we find out that the jury and everyone that's involved in the case will visit Nicole Brown Simpson's home as well as OJ's home, which I didn't even know that happened. Like, I assumed, why don't you just show them pictures? That's what I thought they did. They showed them pictures of the crime scene, and then that's that. Getting prepared for the jury to come to OJ's home, Johnny Cochran brings up some of his own artwork there.
He's pulling out all the guns.
Yeah, he's pulling out all the guns. And when he goes to kind of warn OJ about it, OJ is he's so out of touch. And we talked last episode about, I think it was about him being out of touch, or just rich people in general being out of touch. Because OJ's like, why? Why would you change? My home is beautiful. It's been in magazines. Like, what was wrong with what I had in my home that represented me? Like, why do I have to change my representation?
And you're right. We spoke about that. About people being out of touch with
right.
What's going on. Rich people are the few. That's a fact.
Right.
They're the few, and they're living in their bubble. By them being the few, you would think they would know what's going on beneath them, but they don't. They're out of touch. They're, I don't want to say too far gone, because in their reality they're not gone. They may not be, but they're too far removed from our reality.
Right. Yeah, because Johnny asked him, he's like, how many black people did you actually consider a friend before all of this happened? Like, he's like, these are the people that are on the juror, and you need them to acquit you for double homicide.
These are the people in the inner city.
Right. And OJ, what he said, I actually kind of agreed with. He was like, I've never left anybody behind. So many people tried to, follow along with him, get up on his earnings. But he's like, what I did, he pretty much, what he did for himself.
Right.
He got him to where he was. He got that big house. He worked hard to get to where he was. So I do respect that. Yet at the same time, I definitely see where Johnny Cochran was coming from. Like, if those people came to your house and they didn't see, I mean, I can't say for sure that's what they think. But to Johnny Cochran, if those black people came in your house and they didn't see no black art, they didn't see no black family members in any of your pictures, they might be like, this dude is not like us after all.
Right. It would have changed their whole perception of him.
Right.
Quickly. Like, hold up. OJ don't have any black friends?
Right. Yeah, you start thinking like, hold on, okay. And even we see when the people go to the house, the guy, he's like, oh, his Heisman, like, they're getting excited, and they're kind of,
yeah, you
can see they're forgetting that they're at an alleged murderer's house. They just see that football player, that person that they love.
Right.
I can only imagine, like, if they accused Beyonce of being a murderer and I was on the juror. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, if they brought me to her house, I would have been lost. I've been blinded. So I'm trying to put myself in that shoe when I'm thinking of how they reacted to OJ. You're so used to seeing that person the way you wanted to see them.
So is Marsha Clark right?
Yeah, she definitely was right. And actually, it kind of seemed illegal that he did that. Like, it was almost to me like tampering with evidence.
No, I mean, when she said, oh, well, yeah, you're right about that also. But I mean, when she said that those people are not a jury of his peers.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with her. I still think there's different things that she could have won about doing stuff. She saw that they were playing hardball, and she kind of should have played hardball, and she never did.
I think she didn't know they would do that.
Okay.
I think that, like I said, it's so much easier trying to defend something than it is to actually try to convict it.
Right.
She has a lot of work to do. It's not the slam dunk that she thought it was going to be, and she realized that they have to prove that this guy did something. Only thing the defense have to do is defend everything she threw at him. Just block everything.
Right.
That's all they have to do. So I think that it's more work on their side. She don't have time to go to the house, set this up, put pictures of the kids back up, move new furniture in. She don't have time for that because they're in office 24/7, or not 24/7, but a long ass time.
Right. Well, she didn't even know Nicole's house was going to be empty. You saw how pissed off she was.
And that's what I said, because she didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
They have more time on their hand. That's why when Johnny Cochran, when Shapiro didn't come in, he was like, well, let's make this fast. I got to go.
Right.
So they had like a hour meeting, and they're out. Oh, they're going to say this, that. You go talk to this person. You go talk to this person. You go talk to this person. We out.
Right.
It's over. Let's go to dinner.
Now we do see OJ kind of lose his cool just a little when Darden sits down on a bench at his house. Did you say he's like, get off my bench? Like, what was like?
Yeah, he lost his cool.
It kind of shows his
anger.
Yeah, he has an anger problem. I mean, I will go as far as saying just because you have an anger problem doesn't mean that you're a murderer. I won't say that.
I think he was extra hard towards Darden because he probably just can't believe that a black man is trying to convict him. Why?
OJ didn't consider himself black. He's OJ. You can't be black when it's convenient.
Well, I mean, this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he knows he's black. Come on now. Like he said when they were talking about the mayor of Brentwood.
Oh yeah, I didn't get. What did he mean by that?
But that he know what they really meant by that?
What did they mean by that?
I don't know, but he knows.
Okay. All right. Well, last thing is Johnny tells Darden, hey, do not go to Foreman. Like, do not do the cross on Foreman. Let the white people do it. And we see Darden talking to his family, his dad. He's like, man, he's messing with me. But the dad was like, maybe he's trying to help you out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was trying to do.
Right, right. Because, he been trying the whole time to not get this guy on the stand. Like, he's not the right person. He kept telling them that. And how much convincing do it take? Or how much saying that do it take for you to finally convince somebody, like, maybe you're right?
Right.
You interviewed him. You're a black guy. And you don't feel that he's right. And our jury is, we have a jury of minorities. So maybe you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. When Marsha Clark, she was still, I'm glad she finally agreed that she would take him. Because I'm like, why? If he's not comfortable doing it, why are you so big on trying to make him do it?
I'm not glad she chose to take him. I'm mad that she chose not to listen to him and not put him on the stand in the first place.
Yeah. No, I agree there. I definitely agree there. I cannot wait to see what happens when he gets on the stand.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
How long do we have to wait?
Just less than a week.
Yeah.
Comes back out Tuesday. All right, well, you guys, this is it for our react/review podcast of The People vs. OJ, American Crime Story. You can hit us up on facebook.com/verdictsin for all of our stuff, or on Twitter at The Verdict's In, or you can even email us, host@theverdictsin.com, which is HOSTS@theverdictsin.com. And then there's our website, theverdictsin.com, where you can find all of our other podcasts, such as Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Wayward Pines, Ballers, Orange is the New Black, all the ones that we've done so far.
And I know I say this every week, and I usually say this at the beginning, but this podcast is only on the television show. It doesn't have anything to do, well, the television show is on the case, but it doesn't have anything to do with our reality on the actual case or our beliefs on the actual case. We're only reviewing the television show and giving our opinions on it.
That's right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gary.
Good night.
Good night.